Last week, obviously, ones took on Driffield at home, seconds Moortown at home. Twos had a bit of a stroll, really, without being arrogant. Fair play to Moortown, they sent over 13 boys and we switched and changed and lent them a few, but obviously the second team are training really well at the minute. They're training against firsts on a Thursday, getting some high competition, and then we're training all together, going through the same shapes on a Tuesday. So a team turning up with 13 lads are going to struggle, and that's not being arrogant, that's explaining what happened on Saturday. But to fair play to the boys, they stuck to the task, stuck to the shape, went through the motions and scored a bucket ton of points. And then Birdie, public enemy number one, even dotted down 5 for the opposition as well. So scoring all the points in that game. Ones, we were probably off our best in terms of consistency, in terms of execution of what we sort of pride ourselves on. That said, if you watch the highlights of last week's game, some of our tries were exceptional. The way we moved the ball, the way we identified space, and the speed with which we were able to execute skills, put the ball out in front of our quick boys and put them away into space were really impressive. Moving into this week, obviously, there's a few bits from last Saturday that we'll want to put right. We've worked hard on that this week, and I think you'll see a more consistent performance and a performance that's closer to our usual standards this week, really. Yeah, so Alnwick away, this is the one. It's massive for so many reasons. Obviously, if you look at the league table, we're first, they're second. The gap's 13 points with 4 games left. If we can win on Saturday and sort of stop them picking up two points in defeat, that would see us crowned champions. We're not getting ahead of ourselves because nobody has been up to Alnwick and won this year. They've not lost since they played us down here, so they're on a run of form themselves. And it's a place that last year, I think Scunthorpe went and lost, Huddersfield went and lost, we went up there and lost. It's not an easy place to go, but we are ready. We are ready to go up there, giving ourselves every chance this week with the way we've prepared, the detail that we've attended to go up there, putting our best foot forward and getting the job done. It's not going to be easy, we know that, but we believe that the skill that we've got in the changing room, plan that we've got for Saturday, the way we've prepped this week, will see us go up there and do the job. That said, I'm sure they've finished training around this time now and are saying the same thing. They'll want to win that game. They expect to win that game when they play at home. They'll want to win that game to keep the league going for another couple of weeks, but also to solidify their place in second, because if that's where they finish, they'll get a home playoff. And obviously, as I've just mentioned there, they don't often lose up there. So they've got all the motivation in the world to want to win as well. So I know the supporters are coming on a bus up there. So it's likely to be one hell of a day, and hopefully we'll all be making that long journey back with smiles on our faces. In terms of selection, we've had some tough calls this week. Coxie comes back in at 9 after last week. Luckily, Clum's fingers regenerated and he's able to take his place at 13. And then in the pack, a couple of tough calls with Pilch safe and Cloughie missing out through a couple of knocks that they've taken. But the boys coming back in, Ferg and Paddy in the second row. I think the last time I said that we had the tallest second row partnership, it was with the Hawks and it got a few smirks. We've got 6'9" and 6'8" this week, so we're pretty big again. I won't say we're the tallest in the north of England, just in case somebody gets offended. And then in the back row, JC comes in, extra bit of niggle, extra bit of work, which sees Harvey slide to 8. And then Josh Beck take his place on the bench. He's been going really well in the Hawks, and he's played in a couple of the big games earlier on in the season for the first team, like Harrogate at home and things. So he's more than ready, taking that place on the bench that's vacated by Safe. Players of the month, Harvey for the first team. You know, anybody who watches our games week in, week out, it could be him every month. He's been that good this year. He's super consistent. What he's putting his body through week in, week out, I don't know how he manages to do it. Obviously, as an X10, I watch in awe of the contacts that he's consistently putting in. His tackling last week was outstanding, setting standards for those around him. And he's carrying as well, always carrying through the defender, never stopping. So he's been unreal all month and prior to that as well, so well deserved. And then Josh, obviously I mentioned him in terms of his form for the Hawk. I think he's been a real standard bearer in their 3 games over the last few weeks, taking sort of what he's learned by being in around the first team in some of those big games and sort of showing that at a slightly lower level, but bringing the boys around him, setting those standards around the contact area in his carries and his tackles. So we'll be looking for him to have his impact on Saturday off the bench. But yeah, those two boys really well deserved. Over to Huddersfield, to Lockwood, as part of their festival. I didn't get to watch too much of the 8s as I was with the 7s, but the 7s, it was funny. It's something about when teams put on this badge and the way they defend the line. They were playing one particular opponent who we had a very good game with a couple of weeks, and they were on their own line and they were defending, getting tag after tag after tag, sort of no surrender. Eventually forced the error. One of them picked up, swooped and went the length of the field, and me and Ian were saying it's like it's the second you put that shirt on, there's some form of DNA that means you will defend your own line at all costs. But they were really good. It's hard to gauge sometimes on a Sunday how well they've played when you're just playing against one set of opposition, but seeing them play 4 or 5 teams on Sunday, they've got the makings of a really good side, and actually they played really, really well. And I thought going that they might lose a bit of interest after the second game, because that's as many as they've played in one morning so far this season. But they played all 4 or 5 games with the same sort of effort and enthusiasm as the first one. So they had a brilliant day with smiles on faces. They played some really good rugby, and I think it's given that bit between the teeth just for their last couple of games heading towards the end of the season. But yeah, really nice to watch them, and they did really, really well. I think won 3, drew 1, lost 1 overall, so a good outing for those boys, yeah. Yeah, obviously Johno's known far and wide, and I think one of his associates from over the border was in here yesterday. They've left him a couple of gifts. I'm not sure what the relevance of the pink sparkly cowboy hat is, but maybe there's a story behind that. But if you look even closer, I've left him a little sticker which says, "Did the bare minimum." I don't know how Johno will feel about that, but did the bare minimum. There must be a story with it. They've chosen out of all the numbers to leave it where Johno would be sat. Did the bare minimum. Will he be doing the bare minimum on Saturday? Hopefully not.